Hey babes, Tony here from TL Yarn Crafts, and if you love granny squares but hate seaming them together, then you're in the right place. This is Crochet Granny Square Join As You Go, a very simple technique for connecting granny squares that's much easier than it looks. Before we jump into this long-awaited tutorial, let's give some love to my video sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is a learning platform for the creative and the curious. Honestly, no matter what you're into, Skillshare is going to have a class that you'll love. After just a few weeks of having my own membership, I've taken classes on improving my iPhone photography, stepping up my Pinterest game, and a class on how to save my dying houseplants. I'm not gonna lie, y'all, it was getting pretty dire over here. Now, when you sign up for Skillshare, you get access to thousands of classes that you can take at your leisure for less than $10 a month when you upgrade to the premium membership. With pro-level classes on graphic design, photography, entrepreneurship, and so much more, Skillshare helps your creativity soar. If all that sounds good to you, start your learning journey today. The first 1,000 subscribers to click the link in the description will get a free trial of the Skillshare Premium membership. Now let's get stitching. The Join As You Go technique is a very simple and straightforward way to connect granny squares while you're working on them. That way you don't have to make all the squares and then go back and seam them together. Essentially, all we do is replace the chain one space between 3 double crochet groups or at a corner, replace it with a slip stitch join in the joining square. So I'm going to walk you through not only how to make your very first square, but to join squares to it. And I'm also going to show you how to make and join a triangle as I did here with my sweet granny baby blanket. For today's squares, I'm going to work with 2 rounds of these accent colors and then 1 round of white. In the join as you go method, you're going to connect your squares in your last round, and I'm going to work that in white for each of these accent colors. So let's make our very first square. So we'll make our very first square completely, so all 3 rounds. I'm going to move through this first granny square pretty quickly, but if you're new to granny squares, check the top right-hand corner now for my step-by-step granny square tutorial. We start our granny square with a magic ring, and then we're going to chain 3. So here's 1, 2, 3, which counts as our first double crochet, and then put 2 double crochet into the ring, followed by a chain 1. Then 3 more double crochet. There's 1, 2, and 3, followed by a chain 1. 3 more double crochet. There's 1, 2, oop, there's 2, and 3. Chain 1, and then 1 more time, 3 double crochet. There's 1, 2, and 3, followed by a chain 1. Then we'll want to close our ring and join with a slip stitch in the top chain of the starting chain 3. And that completes round 1. Slip stitch in each of the next 2 stitches to get to the chain 1 space. Slip stitch into the chain space and start with a chain 3, which counts as our first double crochet. 2 more double crochet into the chain space, followed by a chain 1, then 3 more double crochet into that same chain space, followed by a chain 1. For the next corner, we'll do 3 double crochet, chain 1, and 3 double crochet. Follow that by a chain 1, and we'll do the same thing in the next corner. Follow that by a chain 1, and then our last corner, again 3 double crochet. There's 2, chain 1, and 3 more double crochet. There's 2, and here's 3, followed by a chain 1, and then we'll join again in the top chain of the starting chain 3. From here we can cut the yarn, pull that loop up and out of our work, and then add on the white for one final round. We'll attach the white with a standing double crochet. So we'll start with a slip knot, place that on our hook and yarn over and hold. Pick our first corner, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. And then we'll finish that corner as normal, placing 2 more double crochet, a chain 1, and then 3 double crochet. So we'll complete this round similar to the previous rounds, putting 3 double crochets in the chain 1 spaces, 3 double crochet, chain 1, and 3 double crochet in the corners, and of course making sure we put a chain between all of our 3 double crochet groups. Now let's skip forward and move on to our next squares. Now that our first square is complete, we can move on to the squares we're going to join to it. So I've already done the centers for those, just 2 rounds in the granny square pattern, and then I did take a minute to weave in my ends. So we'll just need to pick one for now, and we'll grab our white yarn. I like to join with a standing double crochet, which begins with a slip knot on the hook, yarn over, and just hold on to that, and then insert into the corner, chain 1 space. Pull up a loop. We've got 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 for a standing double crochet. So I'm going to work my granny square until I get to this first corner. All right, so here at this corner, I'm going to place 3 double crochet. There's 2 and 3. Typically after this, I would chain 1 and continue with my corner and down the side, but this is where I want to do my first join to this square. So I'm going to join along this edge of this square. So instead of a chain 1, I'm actually going to insert my hook from back to front into the chain 1 space of the joining square, yarn over, and I'm pulling through the joining square and through the loop on my hook for a slip stitch. And now they're joined. So I can now finish the corner on this working square by putting 3 double crochet in the corner. There's 2 and here's 3. So you can see that they're joined by that slip stitch that we put there in the corner. Now after this 3 double crochet group, I would normally chain 1 and move to the next space. But instead of that chain 1, I'm going to slip stitch in the next chain 1 space on my joining square. So this is just a matter of replacing chain 1s with slip stitches. And now I can go into my next chain 1 space on my working square and put 3 double crochet. Again, instead of the chain 1 here, I'm going to slip stitch into the chain 1 space of my joining square. Now I can put 3 double crochet in this corner. Here's 1, 2, and 3. Slip stitch into the chain 1 space in the corner of our joining square. And now I can put 3 double crochet into the corner of this square. So let's take a look at our work for a second. You can now see that those squares are joined together at the chain 1 spaces. And that's not going anywhere. That join is permanent. So at this point, we can finish our pink square as normal. Perfect. Now let's move on to this gray square. For the gray square, we're going to start it just like we did our pink square. So we're going to start in one corner and work up to the next corner. I'm going to begin again with a standing double crochet, starting with a slip knot on my hook. I'll yarn over, insert my hook into that corner, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and complete this corner by placing 2 more double crochets. There we go. A chain 1 and then 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1, 3 double crochet in the next chain 1 space. Oh, my hook is betraying me. There's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, and then I'm going to put my first 3 double crochet in this corner. Now I'll grab the squares that I'm joining to, and essentially I'm going to put this square right here. So I'm going to start by joining in this first corner. So I've got the chain 1 space here. Instead of putting a chain 1 on my gray square, I'm going to join with a slip stitch in the chain 1 space of the corner of the square that I'm joining to. I'll finish with 3 double crochet in this corner. There's 1, 2, and 3. Time for another join. I'm going to go to the chain 1 space on my joining square, and then go to the next chain 1 space on my gray square and put 3 double crochet. To the next chain 1 space on my joining square, pull through, 3 double crochet in the corner here. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now for this join, instead of going just in the corner of this pink square, I'm actually going to go to the join that's kitty corner from the square that I'm working on. So I'm actually going to go in the chain 1 space of this gold square. So again, just inserting my hook into the chain 1 space of that corner, yarn over and pull through. I like to do that because it keeps the corners nice and tight and make sure that join is secure. So now I can just finish my gray square like normal. Oh, it's just so pretty. Look at these colors together. I love them. Now you can continue joining squares just like this for a traditional granny square blanket that's worked with the squares just going across in rows. But you'll notice here on my sweet granny baby blanket that these squares are worked on the bias. So to even out the sides, I had to create triangles. It's the same thing that I did for my bias granny square temperature blanket. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's essentially the same premise. I'm going to use a new color here. We're going to work the first 2 rows of our triangle with this pretty green color and work the last row and join it as we go in white. So we'll begin our triangle with a magic ring as well. And then we're going to chain 4, which counts as our first double crochet as well as a chain 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to put 3 double crochet in the ring. There's 1, 2, and 3. Follow that by a chain 1. Then we'll put 3 more double crochet in the ring. There's 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet in the ring. So this first round is a chain 4, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 more double crochet, chain 1, and 1 double crochet. So then when we close our ring, we've got a little triangle. So for the second round of our triangle, we'll begin with a chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, counts as a double crochet plus a chain 1. We're going to turn our work. We're going to put 3 double crochet in this first chain space. Here's 1, here's 2, and 3. Chain 1. Here at the very top chain 1 space, we're going to do it just like we do a corner. So 3 double crochets, chain 1, and 3 more double crochets. Follow that with a chain 1. We're going to put 3 double crochet in the space of our turning chain. There's 1, here's 2, and there's 3. Then we'll chain 1, and we want to find the 3rd chain of our turning chain, 1, 2, 3, and place a double crochet in that 3rd chain. We're also going to change color at the end of this stitch, so I'm going to work it until there's 2 loops left. I'm going to cut my green, leaving a nice long tail, and grab my white. And this is where we'll begin joining as we go. All right, so just like before, we're replacing chain 1s with slip stitches. So instead of starting with a chain 4 here, we're going to start with a chain 3. 1, 2, 3. That counts as our double crochet. We're going to turn our work, and we're joining right here in this corner. So I'm actually going to join with a slip stitch in the corner of my gray square here. Now I'm going to put my 3 double crochet in this chain 1 space. There's 1, 2, and 3. And then join in the next chain 1 space on the gray square. 3 double crochet in the next chain 1 space on the green square. There's 1, 2, and 3. Join with a slip stitch in the next chain 1 space on the gray square. And then 3 double crochet in the top of this triangle. There's 2 and 3. Now, just like before, instead of joining in the corner of this gray square, I'm going to go kitty corner over to this pink square and join in the chain 1 space at that corner. So I'm going kind of under my work, opening up that chain space, inserting my hook through, pulling up the loop, and pulling through for a slip stitch. So that's nice and secure. And now I can finish my corner on my green square. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now I can start connecting my green square to my yellow square. So I'm going to find the next chain 1 space on my yellow square and pull through. 3 double crochet on my green square. There's 1, 2, and 3. Find the next chain 1 space and slip stitch. 3 double crochet in the chain space of our turning chain here. There's 1, 2, and 3. And then my last slip stitch goes in the chain 1 space here at the corner of the yellow square. And then I've got 1 more double crochet to go into the 3rd chain of my turning chain. So there's 1, 2, 3 chains, and I'm going to place a double crochet here. So then when I take a look at my work, we're connected. Got a nice flat edge here if I wanted, and I would continue creating a flat edge by putting more triangles on the sides of my granny squares. But if you look at our joins, those are nice and tight. They're not going anywhere, but they're still flexible enough that when you block your project, they'll be flat and they'll be secure. So I really hope that helps and demystifies granny squares with the join as you go method. You can practice the join as you go method on my Sweet Granny baby blanket pattern and the Bias Granny temperature blanket pattern. Both are free on my blog. Find the links down in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.